of you. Today our lecture is about the chlamydia and mycoplasma. So the learning objects will be at the end of the session. You should be able to describe the morphology of antigens, describe pathogenesis and clinical features, appropriate lab diagnosis, interpret the results, and describe the prevention and treatment of these infections. So first is about the chlamydia. Chlamydia generally resembles the viruses because they are obligate intracellular, cannot grow in artificial media. They grow in cell lines, embryonated eggs or animals. They are filtrable like viruses. They passes through the bacterial filters and produces the intracytoplasmic inclusion. That's why they resemble like the viruses. But they are confirmed to be a bacteria. Why? Because they possesses both DNA and RNA, cell wall similar to that of gram-negative bacteria, multiply by binary fission, contain prokaryotic 70S ribosomes, synthesize their own nucleic acids, lipids, proteins, susceptible to a wide range of antibacterial agents. That's why they are grouped under the bacteria. So they are classified based on their genetic characteristics into the chlamydia, into Chlamydia trachomatis, Chlamydophila are the Cetaceae and pneumoniae, and non-pathogenic animal species are Chlamydia pecorum, abortus, KV, and Felis. So this is the classification of chlamydia. The life cycle about the chlamydia. First, there will be a attachment and uptake of chlamydial and elementary bodies. Chlamydia generally develops forms into the two elements. One is elementary body and second is a reticulate body. So the infective form is the elementary body and the replicative form, that is intracellular, that is a reticulate body. So first there is an infection with the attachment and uptake of the chlamydial elementary bodies of the cell. This is a host cell. Then they transform into the reticulate bodies. Then reticulate body they divide by binary fission. Then there is a formation of inclusion body. Now from here they can either transform into the elementary body again, they release out of the cell, or they transform into the inclusion body and remain inside the host cell. Persistent infection with a large aberrant reticulate body. And after some time they will return to the normal cycle and release the elementary body. So this is how the cycle of this chlamydia will continue. So this is the difference between these two, elementary body and the reticulate body. Elementary body is extracellular form, reticulate body is intracellular. Infectious form is elementary body, replicating form is reticulate body. Elementary body is metabolically inactive, reticulate body is active. Elementary body is having a rigid cell wall, while reticulate body cell wall is fragile. Small in size as compared to the reticulate body, which is larger, 1 to 1.5 micrometer. Nucleoid of elementary body is electron dense. Nucleoid is diffuse in case of the reticulate body. DNA and RNA contents are same, while in case of the reticulate body, RNA content is more as compared to the DNA. So these are the differences between the elementary body and the reticulate body. So this is what we have seen: attachment, then endocytosis, intracellular survival. They survive intracellularly by inhibition of the phagolysosome fusion. So they prevent the phagocytosis. Elementary body transform to reticulate body, and then there will be a replication. They synthesizing their own nucleic acid, lipid, protein, but they cannot synthesize ATP. That's why they are called as energy parasites. They utilize the host ATP for their processing. Then they transform back to elementary body. Inclusion bodies are the vacuoles gradually increase in size, containing the reticulate bodies, and these bodies release. Mature inclusion body contains the 100 and 500 elementary body, and they release from the host. Some released by the cell lysis, some released by leaving a scar into the cell. Now what about the antigenic structure? So genus or group specific antigen, chlamydial lipopolysaccharide, is there. Used into the complement fixation test. This will induce the TNF-alpha and other pro-inflammatory cytokines. Scarring and fibrosis will be there. Species-specific protein antigens will be present at the envelope surface, and they help to classify to species level. And several specific antigen, that is a major outer membrane proteins, MOMP, they are used in microimmunofluorescence test to detect the serover-specific antibody. So these are the antigenic structure of the chlamydia. This is the classification of chlamydia based on the serotypes, biover, and disease they cause. So there are mainly three species: Chlamydia trachomatis, Chlamydia pneumoniae, and Chlamydia Cetaceae. Chlamydia trachomatis is divided into two biovars, Trich and LGV. Trich is again divided into two serotypes. One includes the A, B, B, and C that is responsible for trachoma, and another is from D to K. These are responsible for the genital chlamydiasis, inclusion conjunctivitis, and infant pneumonia. So this whole constitutes the Trich biovar. Another one biovar is the LGV, that is L1, L2, L3. They are responsible for the lymphogranuloma venereum. So these are the infections or the diseases caused by the species Chlamydia trachomatis. Trachoma, genital chlamydiasis, inclusion conjunctivitis, infant pneumonia, and LGV. Another species is Chlamydia pneumoniae. It is also known as a TWAR agent. Only one serotype is there, and that is responsible for community-acquired atypical pneumonia. In Chlamydia psittaci, there are many serotypes, and that is transmitted from the birds, mainly parrots, and it is responsible for the psittacosis. So first of all, trachoma, that is caused by Chlamydia trachomatis. It is a chronic keratoconjunctivitis. Mode of transmission is direct contact or with the fomites, indirect through the contaminated clothes or flies. Infection is generally acquired by 2 to 3 years and active disease among the young children. So it is a disease of childhood. Acute infection presents as a follicular conjunctivitis, that is an inflammation of a conjunctiva, lymphoid follicles and papillary hyperplasia. Follicles rupture to leave shallow pits termed as a Hubbard's pits, and cornea gets infected, leads to the keratitis. So it is a keratoconjunctivitis. In the late stage, there will be a cicatrization, recurrent infection, limbal scarring or on the palpable conjunctival scarring, and there will be a new vessel formation leads to pannus. Because of the scarring, the eyelashes become wet and turn inward. So that is called as an antropion, which may rub on the corneal surface. That is called as a trichiasis. And that leads to opacity and the blindness. So trachoma being the most common cause of preventable blindness into the India. So it is a disease of developing nation. Hyperendemic areas are the sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East, Southeast Asia, including India. And it is a leading cause of preventable infectious blindness worldwide. Chlamydia trachomatis serovar D2K, they causes the genital infections. Non-gonococcal urethritis is the most common cause of this NGU. They differ from gonococcal urethritis by their incubation period and symptom. The incubation period of this chlamydia is 7 to 10 days as compared to 2 to 5 days in gonococcal urethritis. While the symptoms, the mucopurulent discharge is in case of the chlamydia, while in case of the gonococcal urethritis, the purulent discharge are seen. Post-gonococcal urethritis, then epididymitis, proctitis, reactive arthritis, that is a Reiter syndrome. It is a combination of the conjunctivitis, urethritis, and polyarthritis. So these are the Reiter syndrome. Man to woman ratio is 10:1. It is the commonest cause of a peripheral inflammatory arthritis in a young man. Large joints of the legs are affected, like sacroiliac joints, and it is strongly associated with the HLA-B27 haplotype. Immune-mediated inflammatory response to an infection at a distant site, that is the main mechanism of action. Mucopurulent cervicitis is commonest manifestation in the female. Endometritis, salpingitis, PID, pelvic peritonitis, perihepatitis, that is called as a Fitz-Hugh-Curtis syndrome. So these are the conditions that are commonly seen into the female patients. Inclusion conjunctivitis, it is one of the most common cause of the neonatal infection. So newborn infected while passing through the maternal vagina. So there will be a Chlamydia trachomatis is more commonest cause of the inclusion conjunctivitis, planoria, in case of the newborns. Then another one condition is the adult inclusion conjunctivitis. It is the acute follicular conjunctivitis following swimming. That is a swimming pool conjunctivitis. And one more condition is there. That is the interstitial pneumonia, infant pneumonia that develops within 3 weeks to 3 months of the birth. That is because of infection during birth. Then, so this was about the Trich biovar. Now comes to the LGV, that is a L1, L2 and L3. It is a sexually transmitted disease. Initially, in the first stage, it develops as a painless papule, ulcer or vesicle on penis or vulva. Then into the secondary stage, the enlarged, tender and soft inguinal lymph nodes are there. Buboes may break down to form the fistula and sometimes there is a systemic symptom. So it is a genital infection caused by chlamydia. Into the third stage, in the untreated cases, the rectal stricture or rectovaginal and rectal fistula may develop. Then osteomen, that is edematous granulomatous hypertrophy of vulva, scrotum or penis, elephantiasis of the vulva or scrotum can be seen, and incidence decreases, endemic into the Southeast Asia, South America and Caribbean. So this was about the Chlamydia trachomatis. Another one serover is a Chlamydophila psittaci. So it is a pathogen of parrots and other cetacean birds causing the psittacosis. Reservoirs are the pet birds and poultry. Mode of transmission by inhalation of the aerosols from the avian nasal discharges and from infectious avian fecal or feather dust. Direct contact with infected birds. No person-to-person transmission is seen. Incubation period is 5 to 19 days. Manifestations are mainly the influenza-like syndrome to the fatal pneumonia. Meningoencephalitis, endocarditis, pericarditis, arthritis, gastrointestinal symptoms can be seen, or typhoid-like syndrome can be seen. Now one more is Chlamydophila pneumoniae. So it is an exclusive human pathogen. Transmission is person to person by inhalation. It is presented as an atypical pneumonia, means 10% community acquired pneumonia, fever, non-productive cough, absence of leukocytosis, upper respiratory tract infection, atherosclerosis, antibodies elevated, and chlamydia pneumonia recover from the erythematous plaques. There will be an autoimmune reaction towards the outer membrane protein of this that leads to the atherosclerosis. So that is a pathogenesis of the chlamydoneumoniae. Laboratory diagnosis, how we can go for laboratory diagnosis of chlamydial infection. So as per the presentation of the patient, we can go for the scraping or swabs from the lesions. If there is a urethritis, urethral swab for NGU, endocervical swab for cervicitis, conjunctival swab for ocular infections, first catch urine sample in the morning, nasopharyngeal aspirate, bubo aspirate for LGV. So these are the specimens that can be taken for the diagnosis. Microscopy. So gram staining is there, but it is not so useful. It is a poorly stained bacteria. Presumptive diagnosis can be done if there is a sterile pyuria, means bacterial WBCs are there into the urine, but no bacteria. Non-gonococcal urethritis, post-gonococcal urethritis, epididymitis, reactive arthritis, more than 4 neutrophils per oil immersion film. Cervicitis, more than 20 neutrophils per oil immersion film. Proctitis, more than 1 neutrophil per oil immersion film. These are the inclusion bodies. Cassineria, Machiavello and Gimnes stains can be used for demonstration of the inclusion. Lugol's iodine is used in case of Chlamydia trachomatis. Glycogen matrix can be stained with the Lugol's iodine. These are the names of the inclusion bodies like Halberstadt Provozac body, HP body in case of the Chlamydia trachoma, Miyagawa corpuscle in case of the LGV, and a LCL, that is a Levinthal Colle Lilly body in case of the psittacosis. So these are the name of the inclusion bodies as per the organism. Chlamydial antigen detection can be done by the direct immunofluorescence test for direct detection of inclusion body into this clinical material. Fluorescent tagged monoclonal antibodies directed against group specific lipopolysaccharide can be used. Enzyme immunoassay can be done. We can go for the culture. It cannot be grown onto the routine culture media. They requires into the embryonated egg, animal and cell line. Cell line is highly specific, less sensitive, but more time consuming. So generally Chlamydia trachomatis grows onto the MacConkey, Hela, buffalo, green monkey, baby hamster kidney cell lines. Chlamydia pneumoniae generally grows onto the HAP2 or human fibroblast cell line. Chlamydia psittaci can be grown. Isolation should not be attempted in the routine laboratory because of the risk of laboratory infection. So it is not generally done. Then NAR test, nucleic acid amplification test can be done. Highly sensitive, specific, differentiate the species and serover. Subclinical infections can be identified. PCR, real-time PCR and film error respiratory panel can be used for diagnosis. Antibody detection is useful for LGV, infant pneumonia and psittacosis. Complement fixation test using lipopolysaccharide antigen, group specific and cannot be distinguished between species. So in case of complement fixation, titer of more than 1:64 is considered as a significant. One more test is a microimmunofluorescence test. It uses species and serover specific major outer membrane protein. So it detects the IgM and IgG separately. Not widely used, but single titer of more than 1:512 is diagnostic. Fourfold rise of titer at 2 to 3 weeks interval is more significant. So this is a summary of lab diagnosis of the chlamydial infection. You have to collect the specimen as per the presentation of the patient, and you can go for the either NAT direct detection by the fluorescent antibody test or the enzyme immunoassay. Or antibody detection is generally useful into the LGV in a case of lymphogranuloma venereum, and culture is also useful. Otherwise, mostly nucleic acid detection techniques are more useful and recommended laboratory tests. What can be given for treatment? So azithromycin is a drug of choice. Doxycycline, tetracycline, erythromycin, ofloxacin can be given together. Ceftriaxone is added to the regimen as to cover the possible gonococcal co-infection. In case of the complicated genital infection, doxycycline 100 mg twice daily or erythromycin 500 mg 4 times daily for 2 weeks. For neonatal infection, Ophthalmia neonatorum, erythromycin and topical ointments like erythromycin can be used for addition. For chlamydia, CTC, tetracycline and erythromycin can be used. For pneumonia, tetracycline or erythromycin can be used. Prevention of genital infection, periodic screening of high-risk groups, treatment of both the sex, use of barrier methods of the contraception such as condoms can prevent the infection. So this was about the chlamydia and mycoplasma. Chlamydia, all the species of chlamydia has been covered. Now one more species bacteria is there is a mycoplasma ureaplasma. So here, let us go in detail. It is the smallest microbe capable of free living in the environment and self-replicating on artificial culture media. So this is the difference between this chlamydia and mycoplasma. Chlamydia cannot be grown on a culture media, but mycoplasma can be. They are very small. Smallest bacteria, maybe 150 to 350 nanometer, filterable, can grow on artificial cell-free culture media, lack a rigid cell wall, which is replaced by a triple layer cell membrane that is having a sterol. It does not having a particular cell wall, that's why it is pleomorphic, can be seen into the cocoid, bacillary or filamentous form. It is completely resistant to antibiotics that acts onto the cell wall. Poorly gram-negative, better strained by Giemsa, reproduced by binary fission, budding, non-sporing, non-flagellated, non-motile. It is having a gliding motility and contaminants of the cell culture. These are the differences between the mycoplasma and L form. Mycoplasma are the stable, cell wall is absent permanently, but L forms are unstable forms. Sometimes after antibiotic has been withdrawn, there could be a presence of cell wall into the L forms. Then in mycoplasma, absence of precursor of peptidoglycan, here the precursors are present. In mycoplasma, sterols are present into the membrane, which are absent into the L form. Filtrable like viruses, mycoplasma, but L forms are not filtrable. So it was previously named as a pleuropneumonia-like organism. Nocard and Rox first to isolate mycoplasma from the bovine pleuropneumonia. Later it was named as a mycoplasma, like the fungus, like forming branching filaments, and plasma, denoting their plasticity of the shape. That's why the name is given mycoplasma. It is also called as a Eton's agent, Mycoplasma pneumoniae, isolated by the Monroe-Eton. That's why it is known as Eton's agent. This is a classification. It is comprises of two genera, Mycoplasma and Ureaplasma. Human pathogenic species are Mycoplasma pneumoniae, and others are Mycoplasma homini, Genitalium, Urealyticum, and Parvum. So about the Mycoplasma pneumoniae. Antigens are cell membrane antigen, there is no rigid cell wall. Glycolipid antigens, non-specific, found in diverse tissue. Basis neutrophil antibody test can be done on the base of the glycolipid antigen, that is a cold agglutination test. And the membrane-bound proteins like cytoadenosine P1 protein help into the attachment to the host cell surface. So mycoplasma adhere to the respiratory mucosa, that is the most important step. Injury to the host respiratory tissue by the hydrogen peroxide. Cytotoxin, ADP ribosylating and vacuolating properties similar to the pertussis toxin. and lipoproteins present in the cell membrane and appear to induce the inflammation. Host immunity, cellular immunity, immunopathogenic role, exacerbating pneumonia caused by mycoplasma. Humoral immunity does not protect from early disease but protection against the disseminated mycoplasma infections such as arthritis, meningitis and osteomyelitis. Infection is worldwide. Transmission is respiratory droplet expectorated during coughing, and facilitating factors are the close contacts into the family, military, overcrowding, boarding schools, summer camps. Incubation period is 2 to 4 weeks. So how this disease is presented? It is an upper respiratory tract infection that is presented as a URTI. Pharyngitis, tracheobronchitis, otitis media, acute in onset, 20 times more common than pneumonia. It is called as an atypical community-acquired interstitial pneumonia, also called as a Eaton agent pneumonia, also called as a primary atypical pneumonia, and also called as a walking pneumonia. It is a gradual onset, wheeze or rales, dry cough, peribronchial pneumonia with a thickened bronchial markings and streaks of interstitial infiltration seen on the chest X-ray. Atypical pneumonia, where the interstitial space is infected in contrast to typical pneumonia, which involves the alveoli. So here mainly the interstitial space that is affected manifests as a non-productive dry cough, whereas productive cough with a purulent sputum is characteristics of the alveolar pneumonia. Other agents causing atypical pneumonia are Mycoplasma pneumoniae, Chlamydophila pneumoniae, Legionella pneumophila and a viral pneumonia. So these are the DD of this atypical pneumonia. Extrapulmonary manifestations can be seen. Neurological like meningoencephalitis, encephalitis, Guillain-Barré syndrome, asymptomatic meningitis. Dermatologic like skin rashes including erythema multiforme, Steve-Johnson syndrome. Cardiac manifestations are carditis, myocarditis, pericarditis. Rheumatologic like the reactive arthritis, hematologic like anemia and hypercoagulability. So these are the extrapulmonary manifestations of the mycoplasma infection. Now how we can go for the laboratory diagnosis? So throat swabs and nasopharyngeal aspirates are the main samples. Others are the bronchial brushing, bronchoalveolar lavage, lung biopsy. Sputum is not very useful as it contains too many contaminants. You can use the transport media like standard mycoplasma fluid medium that is containing fetal bovine serum, gelatin and penicillin. Viral transport medium can be added with ampicillin and cefotaxime. Culture. The primary isolation requires a complex media that is a standard solid medium containing PPLO agar, horse serum and penicillin. Standard liquid medium containing PPLO broth, glucose and penicillin and phenol red indicator. Diphasic media containing both standard and solid phase and liquid phase media is described above. SP4 medium, more complex, containing fetal bovine serum. Hay-Flick modified medium containing hard infusion agar. So these are the media that are enriched media that can be used for the culture of mycoplasma. These are the colonies called as a fried egg colonies. Incubated at 37 for 5 to 7 days or sometimes even up to 1 to 3 weeks. Growth is detected as follow. In liquid medium, turbidity and no color formation. In solid medium, colonies can be seen. In liquid medium, red color is there because of fermentation of the glucose. In solid medium, colonies are seen. Colonies are the fried egg appearance. Size of colonies 200 to 500 micrometer for mycoplasma and 15 to 60 micrometer for ureaplasma. Colonies can be examined by the hand lens or Dine staining. What is a Dine phenomena? It is an identity. Dine staining is the alcoholic solution of methylene blue and azure. Mycoplasma intense royal blue, ureaplasma appear reddish to greenish blue. So that is a Dine staining. Identification is done by the hemolysis, that is a hemolytic colony are seen. Hemadsorption can be seen, tetrazolium reduction test done, growth inhibition test by adding the specific antisera. So these are the biochemical reactions or colony characteristics, that's why we can identify the mycoplasma. We can go for serological tests like antigenic detection, that is a direct immunofluorescence test, detects the antigens directly in clinical specimen. Capture ELISA, antibody detection in serum. Serological assay have sensitivity and specificity of 55 to 100%. IgM antibody in children, Ig antibody into the adults. Non-specific antibody detection test can be done. Cold agglutination test, it uses human O blood group RBC. This is a heterophile agglutination test. That is a cold agglutination test where they share the common antigen. they share the epitopes of the human O blood group RBCs and mycoplasma. This is carried out at a 4 degrees Celsius. That is called as a cold agglutination test. Another one heterophile agglutination test is a Streptococcus MG test that uses a kill suspension of Streptococcus MG. That is a group F streptococci. Less commonly used nowadays and poor sensitivity and specificity, positive only in a 30 to 50% of cases. So these tests are now absolute. Antibody detection test can be done by the complement fixation test, immunofluorescent assay, latex agglutination test, ELISA, using the protein P1 antigen. Molecular methods are the mainstay of diagnosis. They are how specific. For 16S ribosomal RNA gene and P1 adhesion gene is available. Multiplex PCR for atypical pneumonia and real-time PCR for this. So these were about the treatment, diagnosis, laboratory diagnosis. Now what about the treatment? So macrolides are useful. Oral azithromycin, alternatively doxycycline, respiratory fluoroquinolones like levofloxacin, moxifloxacin, gamifloxacin, not ciprofloxacin to be used. Then genital mycoplasma. So mycoplasma hominis, mycoplasma genitalium, ureaplasma ureolyticum, ureaplasma parvum. These are associated with the genital tract disease. They frequently colonize female lower genital tract such as vagina, periurethral area and cervix. So they are transmitted mostly by sexual contact, mother to fetus during the birth. Non-gonococcal urethritis and epididymitis, they are the presentation. Pyelonephritis, pelvic inflammatory disease, postpartum and post-abortal infection. Non-urogenital infections such as brain abscess, wound infection or neonatal meningitis are the presentations. So for this, the culture PCR are the appropriate method for diagnosis of urogenital mycoplasma. Ureaplasma forms a very tiny colonies of 15 to 50 micrometer size. It is known as a T-form mycoplasma. Treatment is the macrolides, doxycycline is a drug of choice. So this was about the chlamydia and mycoplasma. Thank you.